Please welcome.
I paid for this microphone.
Kathie was ready. She brought her own mic. And I'm sure you were sitting back there chomping at the bit on that last conversation, since we had a long conversation about the Republican Party, and certainly when we talk about those three issues: limited government, individual liberty, and free enterprise, of which I would be willing to probably guess you and the Libertarian Party would feel like you guys are probably right on course with that. So let's begin by allowing you to begin with an opening statement. Share a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, I'm Kathie. I was born in Beaufort, Georgia. I was the first person in my family to go to college. Worked my way through college and law school, and then on 7/7 of ’77, I came to Texas. I met a good Texas Aggie, Tom Glass. We got married. We had 2 children. Moved to set up house in Houston. I practiced law there. Had my own law firm, and then in 2009, I had a realization that many of you might have had. I realized the way this country was going, I was going to outlive my country. This was no longer just a theoretical, philosophical problem that we had. This was the real world consequences of decades of unconstitutional federal acts. So I said, this is not going to happen. We're late in the game, I know that. The other side started this game, and we didn't even know that there was a contest going on. So we're behind the curve here, but I don't know what we can do. I don't know what I can do, but every single person's got to do as much as he possibly can. And so I said, if they want my liberty that bad, they're just going to have to come and take it. That's all. That's Texas government. In 2010, I'm doing that again.
So you're running for Texas governor. Tell me a little bit about why you think, because at first blush people would say, if you want to have a serious chance at governor, what do you need to do? Okay.
Well, you need to run Libertarian. You need to not run as a Republican or a Democrat. Because Washington is broken. The two-party system is corrupt and broken. Neither will fix itself, and it can't be reformed from within. If we want to save our Constitution, our country, our liberty, we've got to chart a new course away from Washington and outside the corrupt two-party system. That concept, that theory, that hypothetical, that you can get liberty working within the Republican Party, it may sound good, but it's been tested for 20 years and has failed. With 20 years, we've had nothing but Republicans in statewide offices in Texas, supermajorities in the House and the Senate. Over those 20 years, have we got more freedom? No, we have less freedom. We have more debt. We have more taxes. We have more spending. We have more federal encroachment. We are under assault by a federal tyranny that is going to destroy us if we don't do something. So don't waste your vote voting for a corrupt system that you know is not going to give you what you want.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about some of your positions on issues. Let's talk about the issue of nullification. We've asked the other candidates about this as well. Do you believe that the state has the right to nullify both unconstitutional and or constitutional federal laws?
Unconstitutional federal acts absolutely be nullified. And for as far as constitutional, I wouldn't call it nullification, but Sheriff Richard Mack showed us by going to the Supreme Court. That was a risky proposition, but he did win. And it proves that the states are not obligated to enforce even constitutional federal acts. So no, we don't have to be in part or participate in enforcing constitutional laws, but unconstitutional laws is what's ruining us. That is number one. A platform, in my platform, the number one issue is how are we going to push back on Washington. The number one issue in this governor's race is who will nullify, who will lead the charge against unconstitutional federal acts. I'm the only one who has the vision of what is happening to us and what's going to happen to us the day when Washington is not just broken but totally collapsed. And we've lost everything we've come to rely on Washington for. 40% of our own budget, and we don't have a functioning currency anymore. You can't have $17 trillion in debt and expect that you'll keep on having a functioning currency. What happens when that day comes? I've got a plan for Texas independence that's not secession, and it's not suing, as Greg Abbott says. You don't go to the Supreme Court or any aspect of the federal government and beg them to let you act as the sovereign that you are. Plan for Texas independence as many aspects, as every single part of it is designed for the day when Washington has collapsed and we are forced to stand on our own 2 feet as we really should have been doing all along.
So let me ask you this about nullification, because you said you do believe in it. Let's throw the Affordable Care Act out, because that's the easy one to go for. Give me 2 examples of federal laws that you believe should be nullified.
Only 2?
Well.
When it comes to nullification of unconstitutional acts, we're in a target-rich environment. But I'll give you 2.
Okay.
EPA. It's not in the Constitution, and it is ruining our ag industry and our oil and gas industry, and it's being inflicted upon us, not having anything to do with environmental concerns. It's a control mechanism, pure and simple. We've got to push back. We talk about how manufacturing jobs have left the country. Well, why is that? It's because they're overseas. They don't have to deal with things like EPA and OSHA and FDA, so on and so on. If we nullify EPA and say, you're not going to tell our plants and our factories what to do, and if you come in, this is the essence of nullification, and if you try to do that, if you come into Texas and interfere with our manufacturers and our factories, you're violating Texas law, you'll be arrested, prosecuted.
Well, let me just follow up with that, and then you can do the second one.
Okay.
I just want to clarify. So when you're talking about nullification, EPA, not so much a law as the entire agency. You would nullify Texas's relationship with the
It
agency.
is unconstitutional federal acts, which includes laws,
Regulation.
regulation,
All EPA regulation?
executive order, and Supreme Court rulings. If it's unconstitutional, and there's an act taking place in Texas, which is by and large going to violate Texas law, we're there to enforce Texas law, and that means resisting that unconstitutional act. And we will stand, we will stand with you. We will stand with you if the EPA tries to send people in there to control you. We will send our Texas Rangers, our state guard, our local constitutional county sheriff. We will stand with you, because the only way you're going to defeat this tyranny is not one person at a time. Individual rights is fine, but here's the way we have to band together to maintain our liberty and our individual rights. Can I get to the second one now?
You may. But I have a follow-up to that one still, so go ahead.
NSA. In Texas, San Antonio, we have one of the 2 NSA super spy centers operating on electricity from our own Texas grid. I say pull the plug. And we're going to have a rally down there. We're hoping it'll be in February. We were going to go to stand and pray, as close as we can get to them, and put emphasis on this and get attention and publicity, because we can't stand this control. This police state, the surveillance state, is the biggest threat we have. It's bigger than, that's saying something when you say it's bigger than a $17 trillion debt. Yes, it is.
You can burn them.
Sure. Turning off the electricity might be a bit more effective. Okay, so we've got to move on, because I actually lost my other question when you talked about the NSA. I'm thinking video. Okay, so let's talk about this then. You had these issues of states' rights, state sovereignty. The state of I know what it was. Thank you. I can go back to it. When you talk about using constitutional sheriffs, one of the big misnomers that we have is that sheriffs act apart from the federal government. Now, we all know the local sheriff is the highest-ranking law enforcement official, supersedes federal officials in their county. However, we have this very interesting thing that happens with drug policy in the United States, where a lot of money, grant money, forfeit and asset seizure money, as well as money from military gear that's being sent to sheriff's departments across the country, is all coming from the feds. How do you sever the cord between the local sheriff's departments and local police departments and the federal agencies who will then come in and say, hey, if you want our money, you better play along?
We need to stop that. We need to tell our sheriffs that you cannot accept that federal money anymore. It comes with strings, and it's there to do things that you shouldn't be doing. So
do you believe in a state law that would ban all law enforcement in the state from being able to receive federal money?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think a bill like that has any chance of getting through the Texas House?
If I'm governor, yes. Because I'll call it a special session. I'll use the bully pulpit. These are the governor in the state of Texas. Governor is the most powerful office on the face of the earth under my plan for Texas independence. If you've been told it's a weak position, it's just because you don't know the powers that the governor has. The governor of Texas is the commander-in-chief of our Texas military. State Guard, National Guard, Air National Guard. We could use the State Guard to secure our border, and we should have. And so there's many things the governor can do. We have line item veto. We just had a 26% increase, an unexpected windfall in Texas revenues over the next biennium. What did our Republican legislature do with that? Spend it. Every dime. If I'd been governor, I'd use a line item veto. I would have lined that out and some more to boot, and I'll call a special session. And so we're going to sit down and restore fiscal sanity. And we're going to find a way that we can operate without that 40% of our budget that comes from Washington.
Well, I think so. Let me ask you this. The misstep that some have referred to in the past, where Texas looked like they were going to kind of push the TSA out of airports across the state. Then all of a sudden the federal government came in and said, well, if you do that, there won't be planes flying over the state of Texas. How would you respond to that if you were governor?
The Republican-controlled legislature is a rigged game. They know how to defeat every liberty bill that's introduced, everything that's going on. They have a shell game, so they hide the pea. Who really tanked that? Was it Governor Dewhurst? I think probably so, but they change who's going to be the bad guy, who drew the black bean this time, and they just pass it around. So that was a dance, a fan dance. So were they trying to make people think that they were with them on something that was so overwhelmingly possible? We missed we missed an opportunity to exercise our nullification muscle there. But we need to do it again, because that's one thing that I say when we choose the targets for nullification. I want to choose our things accordingly. I want to make proper choices, because this is a new endeavor, and psychologically we just need to get on the same page and understand that the federal government is our agent, and it is fine and proper and expected for the state to tell the federal government when they're overreaching. That's one absolute way we could have, but we'll have many more opportunities.
Okay, let me ask you this. I think we're running short on time here, so last question for you. So Kathie Glass is running for governor. She's running strong. For some reason, media paid attention to her and actually covered her fairly. So imagine that happening. So this all begins to happen, and there's a lot of momentum building, and all of a sudden we've got a three-way race between the Republican, the Democrat, and the Libertarian. Imagine this happening. So all of a sudden we get to the final days of the campaign, and what we realize has happened is actually the state of Texas' worst nightmare. The Republican candidate now can't pull enough votes because Kathie is siphoning off Liberty voters. Kathie can't get enough because she's only getting about 15% of the vote right now. And you helped to elect a Democrat governor in the state of Texas. Can you sleep at night?
If I don't get elected, then it really doesn't matter which of the other two win. Just let me... Who here is okay if America dies and takes Texas with it, and Wendy Davis is our Texas governor? Okay. Who here is okay if America dies and takes Texas with it, and Greg Abbott is our Texas governor? It's all the same. He doesn't understand it. He won't get it. He won't do what is necessary for us to defeat this tyranny. I have the vision. I have the plan, and I have the guts to see it through. And he doesn't have any of those. He's not here on this stage, and you won't see him here. That's why. He's got $40 million in the bank. That tells you all you need to know, and it's not good. Nobody with $40 million to give gives it with a complete assurance that they're going to get a return on their investment. He's been bought and paid for, and his bank account shows it.
Kathie Glass, everybody.